Let's be honest, most of us drive almost every single day. But how often do we stop and really think about the actual rules of the road? Well, we're going to break down some of the essentials today, the stuff that can make every trip you take a whole lot safer and, frankly, way less stressful. Let's get into it. The right of way. We all have that gut instinct, right? You pull up to an intersection and you just know it's your turn. But is that gut feeling always correct? Today, we're going to trade in that guesswork for the actual logic that keeps our roads from turning into total chaos. All right, first things first. We have to start with the absolute fundamentals, the road itself. Before we get into any complex stuff like overtaking or city driving, let's just make sure we're all on the same page about where everyone is supposed to be. So the term roadway sounds a little official, I know, but it's actually super simple. It's the part of the road that's specifically for cars and heavier vehicles. And this definition is the foundation for everything else, because it immediately makes you ask the question, if you're not one of those, then where do you go? And that's where the hard shoulder comes in. You know, a lot of us think of it as just the breakdown lane, but it's so much more than that. It's actually a designated travel path for a whole list of others, from smaller vehicles to cyclists and pedestrians. Seeing the shoulder as an active, moving part of the road is a total game changer for safety. Okay, so we've got the basics down. Now let's switch gears and head into the city. The rules here are a little different, designed for a much more crowded environment. But don't worry, it all comes down to one single guiding idea. Here it is, the golden rule of city driving. It's not about going fast, it's about knowing where you're going. Your destination is what tells you which lane to be in. This is a huge shift from highway driving. If you know you're making a left turn in a few blocks, you should already be thinking about getting into that left lane. So, how does this actually work? Well, it's a pretty simple mental checklist. First, are there painted lines on the road? If yes, awesome. You get to use the lane that works best for your route. If the answer is no, you just fall back on the general rule. Stay in the right lane. It's that straightforward. We've made it through the city, so let's hit the open road. Driving on these inner urban roads, you know, the ones between towns and cities, calls for a totally different mindset with a much more rigid set of rules built for higher speeds. And this right here is the biggest difference. In the city, you're thinking, which lane gets me where I need to go? But out on the highway, it's simpler. The right lane is your home base. That is the lane for normal travel. Every other lane is just for a temporary move, like passing. Now, if you're on a 3-lane road, things get specific. If traffic is going both ways, that center lane has only 2 jobs, passing or turning left. That's it. Don't just cruise in it. If it's a one-way road, you have more freedom, but, and this is a big one, heavy trucks and vehicles with long trailers are forbidden from using the far left lane. This is all about keeping traffic flowing safely. Okay, let's talk about a maneuver that can get your heart pumping a little: overtaking. Passing another car safely and legally is really an art form, and it's all about being decisive and efficient. 15 seconds. Just remember that number. Keep it in your head. When you're in an interurban road and you pull out to pass somebody, a mental clock starts ticking. That's right. You've got 15 seconds or 200 meters to get the job done and get back into your lane. And the whole reason for this rule is to limit the amount of time you spend in a more dangerous position. So, the takeaway is, when you decide to pass, commit to it and do it efficiently. So we've all been taught since day one, never, ever cross a solid line, right? Well, there's one incredibly important exception. To keep cyclists safe, the law says you can cross that solid line to give them a safe amount of space when you overtake them, as long as it's absolutely safe to do so. It's a fantastic rule that prioritizes protecting vulnerable people on our roads. All right, for our last topic, we're going to dive into those special lanes that pop up on busy roads. You know, the ones that traffic authorities use to manage heavy congestion? They each have their own unique set of rules, and knowing them is absolutely crucial. So here's a look at the 4 main types of these special lanes. Think of them as tools to help improve traffic flow. We're going to break down each one, but you can already see that they all have their own specific rules about who can use them, what lights you need, and the speed limits. Let's tackle the first 2. Reversible and additional lanes are pretty welcoming. Basically, all vehicles can use them. The main things you have to remember are that your dipped beam headlights must be on, and the speeds are different. A reversible lane will usually match the road speed limit, while an additional lane will always have a reduced speed, somewhere between 60 and 80 kilometers per hour. Now, the other 2 lanes are a bit more exclusive. Contraflow lanes are just for motorcycles and cars that aren't towing anything. Again, you need your headlights on and you have to drive at that slower speed. The HOV lane, on the other hand, is for carpoolers, buses, and certain zero-emission vehicles. The big perk? You get to travel at the road's normal speed limit. But there is one very, very important exception for that HOV lane that you need to know. A vehicle that's displaying a handicap sign is allowed to use the HOV lane even if there's only the driver inside. This is a crucial rule that really helps promote accessibility on our roads. So we've gone through all these official rules, but being a truly great driver, that's about more than just knowing the law. It's about being aware, being adaptable, and being ready for the unexpected. The next time you're out there, think about that. How can you not only follow the rules yourself, but also anticipate what others might do? Because that's the key to a safe journey for everyone.